We will see how we use one data on the last mile. We will see what we did together with SCHOTT, what SCHOTT did by themselves. Everything what you see today is how SCHOTT used one data in order to build data products that business users need. We will see also a live demo during the end. And for the questions, please post them in the chat. We will collect them separately, and we will make one question slot after the demo in order to directly address questions which are part of the things which Thomas showed with one data and what he did at SCHOTT. And the other questions which are more about presentations or to data mesh, we will address at the end of the session. And therefore, directly to you, Thomas, I'm really happy to show all the participants what SCHOTT did with one data, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. And hello to everyone in the audience, also from my side. I'm happy to share some insights today in our One Data Customer Spotlight session. So as I've mentioned, my name is Thomas von Lonsky, and I'm working for SCHOTT since 4 years now. My current role inside the organization is that I am a business analyst for digital innovation, and at the same time, product owner for our data analytics platform. My personal background is that I have studied industrial engineering with a focus on production technology and data science. And at SCHOTT, we are developing an IIoT platform, which is based on microservices and domain-driven design. And one very important part of the digitalization of the production environment is data, and especially using data to create value out of it. Therefore, my mission, or the mission of our team, is to support business teams to make better decisions based on data, with the use of high quality data and AI or machine learning. The company that I'm working for is SCHOTT. SCHOTT is a glass manufacturer with a focus on specialty glass, glass ceramics, and other innovative materials. We have around 18,000 employees across 33 countries, which will become important later during our motivation and journey. Some of the most important products from SCHOTT are the Ziran glass ceramic cooktops for the kitchen, or the pharmaceutical glass packagings, which we are also used for the COVID vaccines in the past. And one more innovative product is the ultra thin glass, or UTG, which is, for example, used for the new generation of foldable smartphones. So I would like to start with the initial situation a few years ago, when our department was founded with the target to digitize the production of SCHOTT. More and more systems were introduced in the past, and more data was available. But really derive actions from the data and supporting data-driven decisions was not so easy. Why is it like that? So when we are looking at our company, we have different domains, like the manufacturing domain is our core domain, our products, the supply chain, finance, or sales. And each of these domains has their own domain knowledge and their own data, and most of the time also their own system landscape. So one system that is nearly relevant in every domain is the ERP system, the Enterprise Resource Planning System. But especially in production environment, we have a lot more like IIoT systems, like our platform, MES system, the manufacturing execution systems, or further software solutions that aren't used in production. And besides this, we have a lot of databases and storages where important and relevant data is stored for the production. And of course, we also had a lot of access solutions used in our production environment. The whole thing becomes even more complex when we are talking about several locations and several plants, or even about different business units with different business processes. So our solution for this is an integration platform called the MIPS, which stands for Manufacturing Integration Platform of SCHOTT. And one very important part of our platform is the MIPS data analytics platform, which consists with a very important part based on one data. So the idea of the platform is to combine all the different data sources on the shop floor and integrate them with each other. And also to provide data to a lot of different tools like Power BI for visualization or JUMP for statistical analysis. So very important platform features for us at SCHOTT were data governance features for the authorization and standardization of the platform, data quality features to maintain and monitor data quality, and to provide trustful data to the data consumers. Data security features to provide secure access to the data, but with all the necessary security features. And data management to efficiently manage data and metadata for the whole companies to structure it appropriately. For example, structure it for the different plants, the different business units, and also, of course, for the domains. On data consumer side, we were looking for a solution that provides a data marketplace to get access to the data with a suitable data catalog that structures and visualizes the data landscape in such a way that everyone in the company can understand it. Then data services to provide data to all the different consumers, and also AI or ML-based applications. And last but not least, our data exploration features to find the suitable data sets and analyze them fast and easily. So with the one data on the market, we found a tool that fulfills our requirement. And we started our journey 2 to 3 years ago. So we started to integrate more and more systems of the production environment, and first use cases were implemented on the platform, like the global KPI reporting use case, which I will present more in detail later in the live demo. Since it is easy to understand that this approach is not only relevant for production environment, but also for all the other domains, we have started to extend our scope to domains like sales and marketing, and we are talking about data products like 360 degrees customer view, for example, now. So because of all the different domains inside the different business units and the locations, and the fact that the central departments like us are becoming a bottleneck very quickly, we have decided to go for a more decentralized approach according to data mesh, with decentralized domain ownership of the data and the target to build and to create data products with a self-service data platform. This is also why One Data fits so well to our corporate strategy. So the target for us now is to integrate all the data silos to the platform and to create one holistic view over the whole data landscape of the company. One Data as data product builder is helping us in a way that more and more people are able to work with data and to create data products by the help of a self-service data platform. And of course, the vision is to have all the locations and systems connected with a lot of data products from all the different data domains. So before I'm heading to the live session in One Data, I would like to quickly come back to this slide to explain our approach for the data products. One Data is our layer for creating the data products and the data governance. So all the 4 principles of data mesh could be realized with one data as data product builder. According to the textbooks, we are differentiating 3 different kind of data products, like the source aligned data products, which are very close to the structure of the source system, the aggregated data products, and the consumer aligned data products, which are fitting for a certain business need. So what makes a simple data set a data product? It has to be discoverable and addressable. It has to be trustworthy with a good data quality and self-describing so that everyone can understand the data. Last but not least, interoperable to guarantee connection through various systems and of course secure. So to give you a concrete example of our real world at our company of SCHOTT, we have realized a global KPI reporting use case where we combined data from different source systems and different locations into global data products that contain all the global production quantities for the whole business unit. At the end, it doesn't matter which source system is used at a location as long as it provides at the end a data product in a defined structure on the higher levels. So in this project, for example, we had a different system landscape at one of the plants of the business unit because they were not having the same MES system that all the other plants are using. Instead, they had their own local developed database, similar information and similar data, but in a complete different structure. So at the end, this is where the data mesh comes into place, because in this wording, we do simply have an own domain with its own domain knowledge and own domain language, which can provide a data product to the other domains. So all the aggregated data products can be combined to a global one because of the standardized language, the standardized wording in this layer. And this is the input for our global KPI reporting product. To make it even more clear, the domain language does not matter if the data products on the higher levels are providing the information in the same language. So at the end, the mesh starts to grow and more domains and more data products are becoming available. So more business users and more data experts become attracted to the platform, and the mesh is growing. The user acceptance will increase as soon as more data is available. So one more thing I want to show is our CDLP, the Central Data Layer Project approach, and the domain structure that we are using at SCHOTT, because this will help during the live demo when I will show some of the projects that we already have created. So on the bottom layer, we have the so-called CDLPs, the Central Data Layer Project for connection of all the important data sources. And then we are providing the data to all our domains that want to work with data. From there, data products were created and shared, and every domain can collaborate with each other. Moreover, the data products from the platform can be shared to other tools that are designed for data visualization like Power BI. So let's have a look together on our SCHOTT stage instance of OneData. I would like to start with our central data layer approaches. So as I've mentioned, we have several projects to connect the different main data sources that we're using. And you can imagine that, here on our stage instance, some of them are already created, and I would like to show one of them. So for example, we have one central data layer project for the MIPS factory. So we have a central MIPS for whole SCHOTT, and each location has its own MIPS factory for storing all the production relevant data and to have something like the digital twin of the production. Of course, this is a very important data source for all the data analytics use cases, and therefore we need a project, a central data layer project for connecting the MIPS factory. So this is the one data layout, how we are using it in the newest version now. So we have different credentials and connections. We have some data tables and the new data layer tables, and especially the workflow, production lines, and schedules are the core elements of this project. So I would like to show some of the workflows so that you can get a feeling how we have connected it and how we are using one data. So this is one example for a workflow where we have connected the MIPS factory via web service REST API interfaces to one data. So as I've mentioned, we are using a microservice-based IIoT platform, and we have several systems and endpoints, or several services and endpoints for connecting the data. So here, for example, we were consuming the resource histories, so something like the status changes of the machines in the factory, the resources itself, so how's the master data of all the resources that we are using in production. Grep reasons is also something like a master data table, and we have the stateful resources, so every resource with the actual status at the moment. And then we can see here the workflow. So the core of the workflow is the flexible REST API processor, where the request is done. After the request is finished, there is the response, and one data helps to work with this JSON response more easily. So as you can see, we do not need a single line of code here. It's just no code, low code development in that case. So we can just pass the JSON to the format that we would like to use and transform it into a table format so that we can work with the data inside the further data products. So this was a very easy example for a production line. Here's a bit more complex example where we are combining different microservices to only one data product, because we can already call it data product if there are some criteria fulfilled. So this is more like the raw data connection, and we can save the raw data table material relations or the raw data table materials. So this is the workflow for getting the materials from the MIPS factory. And then we have several workflows to transfer all these raw data sets into source-aligned data products. And this will be done in our domains. So we have several domains already implemented on one data to cover some of our business units, some of our locations, but you can imagine that the data mesh will become more valuable as soon as more domains are working on the platform. So one example for a workflow that create data products from raw data, so also the naming of the workflow is aligned to our data mesh philosophy. And yeah, here's a bit more complex approach. You can see here some processors where we are loading raw data from a database. So these are the data table load processors. Then we have a transformation logic on how to combine all these single tables into a source-aligned data product. And here we are combining already data from several locations. So at the end, we have one data table safe processor at the end where the source-aligned data product can be stored. Another example for creating data products is shown here in one of our production domains from Malaysia. And you can easily see some of the source-aligned data products are very close to the source. So we are just loading and saving some of the raw data tables into a source-aligned data product. Then the data product owner is assigned. Some quality checks were added to the data product. so it can already be shared and used by data consumers. But for other use cases, it makes sense to combine different raw data tables in a way that we only have one data product at the end. So for example, in that case, we are combining different raw data tables like the log-ons, the material relations, the production resource with a certain transformation logic. And then we are publishing a data product called material tracking that contains all the information about all material events during the production. So we can see each product at each step inside the production. So I have two more examples. One example is where we have a different data source. So in that case, it's not a REST API based connection to a data source, but a direct SQL connection. So OneData offers standard SQL connection functionality. And in that case, we were connecting directly to the SQL database. So all the data tables were loaded into OneData. And then this workflow here can combine all the raw data tables again in a certain way. So this is business logic at the end on how to combine these tables from the data source. So also the data mesh advantage comes into place because the people from the domain know their system the best. So they know how to combine, how to transform these data tables. And by the help of OneData, they are able to do it with these easy to use processors. So they can combine all the different raw data tables and at the end, again, store only one data product that contains all the relevant information, easily understandable for everyone outside the domain. And then one example for a more advanced pipeline that we have implemented, it's for example with R scripts. You can also use Python for the data transformation. In that case, we are simply loading a data set from a data source, and then there are some R scripts to transform the data. So you can imagine that people that do their coding experience, that are familiar with coding, they are also able to use OneData. So they can define all the transformation steps here inside the script. And at the end, again, a data product can be stored and can be shared across the domains. So this would be everything that I would like to show from our live demo session. So maybe Alex, we already have some questions. Otherwise, I would like to continue with the presentation.
Thanks a lot, Thomas, so far. I see my webcam is, oh yeah, it's working. We had one question which was opened publicly about which technology is used in order to persist the data behind the data product, PostgreSQL. And so far, really thank you, Thomas, for the demo by now. I would give a few seconds in order to let the audience see if they like to ask a question in between. I wanted to ask, Thomas, can you, how did you do it before you did this process in OneData? Can you elaborate a little bit on that for a second?
Yeah, so before we have a central data platform, of course, the people were also working with the data already. But the problem for them was often that it was very high effort to get access to the data. So everyone that wants to work with data has to grant access to the firewalls, to the source systems. He has to get access, a user to access the systems. So the data preparation part or the preparation part of the data engineering process was very high effort for the people that want to work with data. So the data access gets easier. And of course, there are a lot of synergies if people are working on a platform, because maybe one person already prepared the data set for a certain use case, but the same data set, a data product, can be used in another use case. So as soon they're doing it on a platform instead of a local Jupyter notebook or a local Python script, we were not able to leverage these synergies across the organization. And doing it on a central platform, of course, it allows us to really facilitate the data access and the data exchange between the people inside the organization.
In order to also scale some sub-products and reuse them if a data product is maybe useful for another use case.
Yeah, exactly.
The same person asked the question where OneData is running or where the MIPS is running at SCHOTT.
So like the MIPS we already had in place before OneData, OneData is running in our Kubernetes cluster. So we have a Kubernetes cluster installed in the Azure private cloud, where also all our MIPS and microservices are running, and OneData could also be deployed there. So also one big advantage for us, or at the end must-have criteria, that we can work with OneData inside our SCHOTT corporate network to also work with some more confidential data, because production data is often leveled as confidential.
That's a good point. The other question I would put a little bit to the end because it's not specific to the demo. Otherwise, Thomas, please continue, and thank you so much already for answering the questions so far and showing us how you did the data mesh at SCHOTT.
Okay, perfect. Then I would like to come back to the presentation, and I would like to show some slides at the end to explain the way how we are using the data platform and the data mesh, and to give you some outlook what it's planned for the next steps. So for the implementation of our data analytics platform, we were primarily use two approaches: the use case driven approach and the strategy driven approach. The use case driven approach is relatively straightforward. We identify a specific use case and then proceed to implement data products that are required to support that use case. Of course, during this process, we take into consideration the relevant aspects of creating data as a product, which involves discussions on how to design the products, how to cut them into different levels of the data product, such as utilizing domain-driven design. On the other hand, the strategy-driven approach focuses on maximizing the value of the overall system. This means that the business will only adopt and integrate the data mesh if there are valuable data products available. So if certain data sets that are in high demand by our consumers or data product builders, such as the material master data, lack corresponding data products, it will result in reduced acceptance and reduced usage of the data mesh, which means the network becomes more valuable as more data products become available. Furthermore, sometimes it's beneficial to construct, ideally highly automated, raw data abstraction layer for specific data sources, like I've shown what we have done for the MIPS factory. So these topics are an important part of the strategic approach. So to sum up, using OneData as data product builder in the context of data mesh is a journey, and we are only on our way to reach the goal and vision. The first steps are mainly influenced by technology topics, like building the foundation of the platform and to enable secure access for everyone to the platform. Connecting first data sources and data analytics tools to access the data. But what is even more important in the context of a data-driven company is the cultural transformation as part of the data strategy. And this journey has just started at SCHOTT. Of course, there are technology required for data as self-service and for building data products. But if we build data-centric enterprise, and a data culture where employees are eager to use and to apply new data services within their roles, we have to onboard all the people in the businesses. Therefore, a cultural transformation is required too. Data democratization is reached when an organization makes data accessible to all employees and stakeholders and educates them on how to work with data, regardless of their technical background. We have already succeeded in setting up a technical infrastructure for data as self-service, and we already have developed the initial data products. At this point, the domain experts have already completed the development of the first data products, and the ownership has been transferred to the data product owners. We are now beginning to implement the federated governance operating model. This involves documenting, communicating, and transitioning governance from a central department to the entire organization. OneData as data product builder helps us to facilitate working with data and to make critical functionalities like data governance and data quality accessible and available for everyone. So what we have learned so far, it is important to pick some business values first and to create first pilot project on the platform to generate awareness and visibility for the topic. It's not fast, so you cannot decouple the technical and social systems. Changes take time, and the learning organization is very important. The process of building data products should be as simple and user-friendly as possible. And it is important that the domain experts with the business knowledge can develop their own data products. If you want to make decisions based on data, the data must be trustworthy. This is even more challenging when you use data from outside your company. So quality checks are crucial, and especially AI-based data quality control checks are the future. Most of the data is already available in the company, but not discoverable. So we need to invest more in data search capabilities to really leverage business value. And at the end, it's about scaling the data product network or data mesh across the whole company so that really everyone can benefit from the newest technologies. So this was a brief overview over the data journey at SCHOTT and about how we use OneData for creating value out of data. And to be honest, it's only scratched the surface and there are many other topics that we could have discussed. However, I hope you were able to take away one or two valuable insights for your own challenges in your company. And if you're interested into these subjects, I would be delighted to continue the conversation on LinkedIn or other channels, or maybe you can also ask questions directly via the Q&A. So thank you for your attention, and I hand over to Alex again.
Thank you, Thomas, already. Now we can have a little chat together. We can also answer some questions in parallel when they drop by. We can also look again into something if a specific questions goes into it. I only want to mention that one person asked for some details about the data product marketplace. Therefore, after the session, you will get some links of our parallel session, which is going on right now. And there, the data product marketplace is covered in great detail. Here, we really wanted to speak more about how it is for a divisional view, how you can build a data mesh structure, and how OneData can support you there as well. That's why we split it these two sessions in this way. Maybe because the questions are, I need for one question more detail, so I will wait until the person precise the question a little bit more. Thomas, can you speak a little bit about how do you decide what's a data product? So how do you slice it in order to know which functionality is in it and where you stop and build like another data product on top of it, which is connecting to it?
Yeah.
And if you like,
So
you can stop the screen, then the audience sees us in full screen.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so actually this is a very good question, and we do not have the best answer already at the beginning of a project most of the time. So we were trying to use the source aligned data product, so the lowest level of the data products, to really show the data as it is. So to not filter many columns or rows or to change the structure already, but our target for the source aligned data products is to offer it as close possible to the data source, because we do not want her to filter any important information on this level. Afterwards, we were integrating some of the source aligned data products to aggregated data products as soon as we think that some of these combinations and transformations are valuable for more than one use case. So if it is a general transformation that has to be done by everyone who wants to work with data. So to reduce that everyone has to start on the source aligned level, but can already start on the aggregated domain data product level. So some generic transformation like combining a material relation table with a material master table to add some information from the master table, maybe to join the material history, for example, to it. This is a general task, and therefore we are providing several own data product for this use case. And if there are some special customizations needed, then we still have the consumer aligned level. So if we need some special transformations for example, a reporting use case, we can still use the consumer aligned data product to implement all these customizations on it.
Perfect. And then a question which I like a lot. What made you select One Data as a product which is helping you to implement the MIPS instead of building it internally with your own resources?
Yeah, so actually, of course, this is always a decision to make it or buy it, such a solution. But the first slide that I have presented were some thoughts that we had before we have selected One Data. So we were thinking about a platform that solves all these capabilities or all these platform features. And with One Data, we already had some of them implemented very, very well and very close to what we are expecting at SCHOTT. So at the end, we saw that introducing a ready-to-use system, a ready-to-use platform into our MIPS, so not building it from scratch on our own, was way faster and also at the end cheaper than building it on our own. And now we can also benefit from the general corporate roadmap of One Data. You are integrating more and more features to the product. So yeah, there's also some synergies effect for us as one of our your customers.
Yeah, and if I might add, of course, the big advantage is we see several customers. We think a lot about the approach, so we continue the product always further, even though maybe SCHOTT has not a pain in a certain area so far. We might already have a solution and can already tell it could be that in the future, when the data product marketplace has a certain size, that certain situations can occur where we can in advance already look at and make sure that we have a good solution for it in order to foster the consumer adaptation. Because now I go to the next question. You are OT, so you are production, you are not IT, Thomas, and therefore you started in the production environment to build the MIPS and to use One Data for data product marketplace and to have business users and give them a tool to build data products. How do you advertise that internal of SCHOTT, and how do you approach sales and marketing and other customers internally so that you go together in one direction?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so at the end, of course, we have different formats to publish what we are doing as a corporate department inside the organization. So there are some regular meetings and forums to discuss it. But especially because we are the production IT department, so the OT department, our landscape was very diverse and distributed across the locations, and the systems were not so standardized like maybe on ERP level. So the need for introducing a decentralized approach with a self-service platform was maybe higher at the beginning, but now we were also recognizing the same developments and the same thought and strategies in other domains, like the sales, marketing, finance departments. So also maybe there are not so many systems, but also there are more systems or more than one, so they have to combine different source systems. So the idea of the data mesh and the data platform that we already introduced for production IT could also be now transferred to all the other domains inside SCHOTT.
Perfect. Yeah, and just recently we had the great opportunity, of course, to see together how we can speak with marketing and sales, and what benefits we have with the data mesh concept. So I think it's very important to mention it's a journey together. So it's not like here is one data and now go for it. It's a journey between one data and SCHOTT, and we work together in order to get into the company, bring value to the business users, because otherwise it's not a journey by one side alone. So we cannot do it without SCHOTT, and SCHOTT is also benefiting from our support. And I'm very happy that we could go this journey together since 3 years and share it today with you, to the audience. Thank you, of course, Thomas. I would skip now. There are 3 more questions which are a little bit technical, and I don't want to go now in certain directions which is not for the overall crowd too beneficial. So therefore, to all the people which still have questions and still like to get additional details, please get on to the contact of OneData on our website. Drop a mail, you will get an answer. And now I would like to slowly wrap it up. Thank you a lot, Thomas. It was great to speak together and show what we achieved so far. And as mentioned in the session before, it's a little bit a chicken and egg problem. We need to start with something in order to have data products available so that people are using it. And I'm so happy that we solved this tricky situation together to build some eggs and build the chicken together. So Thomas, it was great speaking together, and it was great presenting what we achieved.
Thanks.